Good evening. How's everyone doing? So tonight, because it is a Friday night, you do not have to worry about parking, so wherever you park should be fine. And just a reminder, if you could put your phones on silent for tonight's presentation. I'd like to welcome you all to the Armenian Studies Program Spring Lecture Series. It's hard to believe we're not in spring yet, but it's the spring semester at Fresno State. So we are just completed our second week of classes at Fresno State. So we are moving rapidly through the beginning of the semester. So I want to just kind of show you some of the events that are coming up. Next week, and I'll just be moving. Next week, Dr. Anna Alexanyan, who is our Kazan visiting professor, will be speaking on the first of a three-part series of lectures. And her theme is on the gendered approach to the genocide, that is, genocide through the eyes of women. And her first lecture will be on the women of Trabzon and how they endured the genocide. And it will be in our hall here. So that's just next Friday night. So tell people about it. It's going to be very interesting. Then 1 week later, we're going to have Ara Oshagan. Ara Oshagan is an artist, a curator. He has done many exhibits throughout the world. He's a photographer, and he has published a book which is called Displaced, and it is a photographic book about Beirut. So you will learn about Beirut through the eyes of this photographer. He's an excellent artist, photographer, speaker, and his lecture will be on Friday, February the 13th. But that will be in our other venue that we've been using, the Industrial Arts Building, which is on the other side of campus. But now you're familiar with it. It's the two areas that we go into. So when you get the flyer or read about it, please make sure you look at it. And then also on March 22nd, we're going to have our 38th annual Armenian Studies Banquet, and we're honoring Dr. Saul Jimenez Sandoval, our president. It's his 5th anniversary of his appointment as president of Fresno State. And so this is one of our premier events. We have our students coming, our scholarship recipients, everybody associated with our program. And it will take place at Fort Washington on March 22nd. If you're interested in it, you should have probably gotten your invitations at home, but if you need any information about it, please let us know. Okay. Tonight, our lecture is co-sponsored by the Armenian General Benevolent Union of Fresno, the Greater Fresno chapter, and I'd like to invite one of the executive members, Marine Vartanyan-Peters, who's going to give just a very brief introduction about what AGBU is doing right now here in Fresno. Marine?
Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. AGBU is very excited to be co-sponsoring this event. We have a brief little PowerPoint slideshow just to show you a few things that we do here in case you've never heard of AGBU. Our local chapter here has a lot of history. We're actually one of the first in the Western region. So what we are dedicated to doing here in the Central Valley is preserving the Armenian culture, the language. So we like to collaborate with lectures like this and other events. We have a luncheon coming up, a Lenten luncheon, that's going to be on Sunday, March 15th. So we passed out some flyers for that. We hope you'll consider joining us. Another thing that we regularly do is we offer free Western Armenian language lessons. So really no one has any excuse to not learn Western Armenian. This is free, it's accessible, it's held on Zoom, and it's for all levels. And I know I see a few folks here who've actually taken advantage of that. So we look forward to sharing more of the events we have coming up in the near future. But these are a few pictures of past events. If you notice the one on the top right, you can see our guest speaker tonight. It's another event that we had co-sponsored in the past. But we've done a variety of lectures, banquets, and events that we look forward to growing on. This is a screenshot of our lovely Zoom students who've taken the Western Armenian classes. But really, AGBU here in Fresno is looking forward to becoming more and more active. We also have a young professionals group. We've held mixers. We've done wine tasting at the Kings River Winery. So if you have any family, any students who are also interested in being as part of the young professionals, we also invite you to connect with us. So on the next slide, you'll have just a brief picture of our social media and our email. So if you want to connect, very easy to find us. But also, Professor Barlow's the chair, so you can always go to him for that as well. But we look forward to seeing you at AGBU events. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marlene. I'd like to now invite our student organization up here, our members of our Armenian Students Organization, to feature their new hoodies and sweatshirts that they produced last semester. And if you're interested in purchasing them, please see them after today's lecture. They're beautifully designed in a variety of colors and styles. We have, I want to introduce our executive. It's Grigor Der-Pogosyan, who's our president this year. We have Emily Sahakian, who is our secretary. And we have Jordan Mazmanian, who is our treasurer. So let's have a round of applause for them. If you're interested, after the lecture, you'll be able to thank you very much. And before we begin also, I want to just introduce our faculty here at Fresno State, because we are starting actually this is the 49th year of the Armenian Studies program. Next year we're going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary, so we'll have information about that next year. So 2026-27 is the 50th anniversary of the formal sort of establishment of the Armenian Studies program. So today I'd like to introduce our faculty that are with us. So I want to introduce Dr. David Zakarian. Just stand up for everybody, Dr. Zakarian. Dr. Zakarian is the Hagen Isabel Berberian Professor in Armenian Studies. He joined us last academic year. This is his second academic year. He joins us from Oxford, and before that he was studying in Greece, and also is a native of Armenia. We also have with us Dr. Hagop Ohanessian. Stand up, Hagop. He's way in the back. Hagop. Hagop is one of our students of our program, and then for the past 11 years he's been teaching courses in Armenian literature and culture. And now he's also teaching at Madeira Community College, teaching history, so he's well on his way, and we thank him very much for his support for our program. And then we have our visiting professor, Dr. Anna Alexanyan. Where are you, Anna? Please stand up, Anna. Dr. Alexanyan will be speaking next week, and she'll be giving 3 public lectures. She's also teaching a course on campus on the Armenian women in the genocide. And so we're very happy to have her. For the last 2 years, she was a postdoctoral fellow at the Promise Armenian Institute at UCLA. Before that, she worked at the Armenian Genocide Museum and Institute in Yerevan, Armenia, and she's a graduate of the Yerevan State University. So we want to welcome you, Anna, and after the lecture, make sure you go up and talk to her and get to know her, because she's getting to know our community, and we want her to feel at home here in the community. So welcome again, Anna Alexanyan. Well, a lot of preliminaries, but I think it's important that we recognize the people that we're working with and to talk about them a little bit. But tonight, we have the pleasure of having with us Hrair Khatcherian, who's going to present his new book on Aghtamar, the masterpiece of Armenian architecture. He'll talk about the church, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I will talk a little bit about him. He's an internationally renowned photographer. He's originally from Lebanon, but for the past many years has been living in Canada, actually since 1984. And he's spent more than 30 years, probably 40 years, documenting Armenian cultural heritage through photography. And he has presented exhibitions and lectures around the world. His photographs have appeared in magazines, newspapers, books, and journals. And he will be introducing his 2 books tonight, but the one that he'll be talking about. He's traveled to Armenia, get this, more than 150 times, and has taken many risks to capture the images that we see in the books, the monasteries, churches, fortresses, khachkars, villages, manuscripts, among others. He is really an archive of Armenian cultural art, because he has a digital record of the Armenians, because by going to each of these places, he's documented them at the time, and so whatever happens, they're going to be there. And I hope that in the near future, he's going to embark on a project to find a home for his photographs so that they can be permanently archived and then curated and shown to the world. So it's my pleasure to introduce tonight our guest speaker, Hrair Khatcherian.
Thank you, Professor Barlow, for inviting me over. And thank you for AGBU for co-sponsoring as usual. Today I'll be speaking about Aghtamar. How many of you have visited the church? 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay. Hopefully you will learn a little bit more than what you saw when you paid a visit. This book is actually 300 pages, and with two co-authors. Khatcherian did the illustrations, which took her 2 years to illustrate every bas-relief that you can see outside, and the photography is mine. It took me between 1997 and 2024, 34 trips, 27 years in the making. So Lilith could not join us because she's in Armenia, and she sent us a video of 4.5 minutes. That's what we'll be showing right now. That's Lilith, by the way.
Hello, my name is Lilith Khatcherian. I'm a graphic designer, and although I'm not physically present with you today, anyway, it is true honor to be part of the presentation of the Aghtamar book in this meaningful way. Aghtamar, besides being an architectural masterpiece, it is a living visual language, a world where stone speaks, lines guide the eye, and image carry layered meaning. Yet over time, this language has become more difficult for the contemporary viewer to fully read. It was from this question that my collaboration with Hrair began, with the shared intention of making medieval visual thinking visible, understandable, and alive again in our time. I remember the moment when we climbed into the most unexpected and challenging places in search of the right perspective. Even then, I knew that Hrair's high-quality photographs would later become the foundation of my drawings. This collaboration demanded patience, sensitivity, and above all, trust in each other's vision and in the process itself. Our work developed its own rhythm. Hrair would bring photographic sequences, and over the courses of the past 2 years, I transformed them into drawings. The aim was never decoration but honesty, to preserve the logic of the stone and translate it into line. The drawings are not simply visual interpretation, they are an attempt to listen closely to what the medieval artist intended to express. At times, it felt as though I was collaborating not only with Hawk, but also with an anonymous artist from 10th century. At the same time, those drawings do not remain confined to the past. They hold the potential to evolve into contemporary visual language, becoming graphic systems, motion or animation, where the medieval line is given new birth in the present. The process of creating those digital drawings was both demanding and deeply rewarding. It required precision, patience, and concentration, yet it also allowed me to discover hidden layers within the bas reliefs, details that often disappeared into stone, shadow, or time. By removing the background, the curved figures and stories emerged with clarity. In that moment, the reliefs seemed to come alive again, speaking directly to us across centuries. For me personally, this work becomes something more than a professional practice. It was a way of reconnecting with my own roots. My family history is tied to one, and although returning there was never possible for them, and this project allowed me to build a bridge to that place. This book is the result of years of dedication, collaboration, and deep respect for Armenian cultural heritage. But beyond being a book, it is also testament to what becomes possible when creative partnership is guided by care and shared responsibility. For me, this approach represents innovation in working with culture, not by altering its essence, but by transforming the way we engage with it. Through this work, I seek to build a bridge between past and present, and to show that Armenian heritage is not a closed system, but a living, evolving space, one that continues to speak, question, and inspire. And thank you for creating a platform for this work, for giving it a voice, and for allowing the story of Aghtamar to continue. because some monuments do not belong only to their time. They continue to speak if we are willing to listen. Thank you so much.
All right, Lilith. Good job. Let's go back a little bit. When I was a kid at school, I opened my books, but I couldn't find photographs. In 1970s, hardly we could see any photographs in the books that we studied at school in Lebanon. So I wasn't a good student. And almost every week, my mother was called to the prefectory, and the director would say, "Your son is on the moon." Because I couldn't concentrate on the books, so I was always dreaming of something else. I wanted to become a pilot, and I became a pilot actually in Hayward, California in 1982. So when Armenia was independent and the movement of Artsakh started, I was photographing for Gamma Press Agency. And while photographing, at one point, the Armenians in Montreal would go in front of the consulate, the Russian Soviet consulate then, and they would hold banners saying, "Qarabağ is ours, Qarabağ Merne." And I was photographing, and I asked him, "What is Qarabağ?" They said it's a territory that it's Armenians who lived there for thousands of years, but they hadn't seen it. And that ignited in me the first visit to go to Armenia, and actually 3 days later I was in Qarabağ, in Artsakh. And I photographed the war between 1982 and 1984. We survived the war, a lot of bombs fell, etc., sniper fire. And then I started documenting Armenian churches, because one person in Marduni gave me a book about the Armenian architecture in Artsakh. I was wondering why this gentleman was giving me such a book. So that started my journey into documenting Armenian cultural heritage sites. So today, finally, this is book number 19, and it's about Aghtamar. In 1997, the first visit was organized by Mr. Asham, the late Archbishop. So Aghtamar was built about 1,105 years ago. The architect was Manuel. Let me get rid of this. And what's really interesting about Aghtamar is that it's an open-air Bible. Not a lot of people have been looking at it in that perspective. It's the Old Testament and the New Testament mixed together, which gives you the Bible itself. Whenever somebody paid a visit at Aghtamar in the 10th century, they didn't have Instagram or Facebook or other materials. So the best thing the architect thought about is sculpturing the Old Testament and the New Testament on bas-reliefs, which you will see shortly. It starts with Adam and Eve. And you see the result of Lilith's fantastic illustrations, which took her 2 years to complete. Pay attention to this cross, because I'll be speaking about it later, because it was broken. The original is broken on Aghtamar. In 1997, when we arrived, it was already destroyed, or vandalized, I should say. So you have the index, the content, and you will see the dates in the bottom of each picture on the left, so that if you want to know exactly when it was taken, for researchers, it's going to be really interesting. We have Gérard Dedeyan, professor from France, who did the historical part, and Patrick Donabedian from also France, he did the architectural part of writing about Aghtamar. April 23rd, 2019, April 23rd is my birthday, so this is the view that I got on that particular day. We have spring and we have also snow in the background. So Adam and Eve, like this is a page from a Bible. And Adam and Eve are located on the northern facade. What's really interesting about Armenian churches is all the churches are built east to west. The altar is always on the east side, and usually the main entrance is on the west side. And you can get the lighting only in the summertime, early in the morning or late afternoon, in order to photograph. This is the northern facade. And then we have also Gohan Grigorian from Switzerland writing about different parts of the story. Here we have the three young kids who are thrown into the fire. And whatever I think it is representing something, I have a question mark. Like you see the three children in the fiery furnace. So my opinion is based on seeing a lot of manuscripts and researching. Here we can see the design of between photography and illustrations. It's a beautiful place. Here, the illustrations are playing a big role because, as you can see, Aghtamar has many angles and they're not straight. So we have to wait sometimes for the right moment in order to have that lighting, that perfect lighting. If it's not the perfect lighting, then we have to use artificial light. Sometimes we even use flash or reflectors to photograph the northern facade, which is very difficult, by the way. This is Subsarkis. Subkevur. Since a lot of bas-reliefs were damaged, Lilith was able to reconstruct the faces or the damaged parts because of archival plates that three photographers had taken between 1910, Armenian photographers who went there between 1910 and 1915. So we owe a lot for those photographers, and those plates are held at the History Museum, which is also very interesting because I was able to get access, permission to photograph them. So basically it's very simple. By cutting the images, this is some of the equipment that we carry. So in order to get the portrait of King Gagik, this picture that you're gonna see on the right, I used one camera and one lens which cost $11,000. So this shot, I had to wait for the right lighting. And look where the portrait is. You see? So the illustrations make it much more easier to understand what you're looking at, because the rocks or the bas-reliefs have the same color, and sometimes they are damaged, and you cannot tell exactly what they represent. That's, again, Adam and Eve. And the serpent which has legs. Here's Lilith using a reflector in order to illuminate, and she's standing next to Eve. And by the way, Eve is 6.5 and Adam is 6.4. So Eve is 1 inch taller than Adam. You see that's the plate. And here you see the faces are damaged. So Lilith was able to reconstruct with her illustrations the original faces. Again, you're going to see the serpent with legs, because the serpent will be banned from walking, cursed from walking. And then I saw some symbols, like the three fish are represented also in manuscripts, and that's the feeding of the multitude. That's also in the New Testament. And that's darek, the fish that you can find in Lake Van. Again, this is the northern facade. And in the gables, you will see that we have the evangelists. In the four corners, we have the four evangelists. This is the north facade again. Daniel in the lion's den. There are some corners which are not lit at all, so we have to use the reflectors in order to photograph and get the exact measurements, which makes it very interesting. This book has measurements of most of the bas-reliefs. Some they had missed it. So here you see the size, the height of most of them. The Samson slaying the Philistine, and you see it in the manuscript, and you see it on Aghtamar itself. So it's the story of the Bible. Here is the king who was turned into a wild boar, and St. Gregory the Illuminator made a miracle, and he returned as a man after accepting Christianity as official religion for Armenians. Pay attention to this gentleman that you see. We are taking his height. This gentleman who you see on his knees. Because I'm going to cut it and then take it by Photoshop, of course. I'm going to take him to the western facade and place him next to Jesus. Here you go. If we take him next to Jesus, it will be like, in my opinion, he is Manuel, the architect, because usually in manuscripts you will see whoever that finishes a manuscript or does accomplish something like a church is always on his knees. So I got images from manuscript where you see the same scenery repeating. He could not be in front of Jesus because the king is actually delivering a model of the church to Jesus. So he couldn't be at the same place at the same time. So he chiseled himself on the eastern facade. We have daily scenery. And in my opinion also, the Mongol that you see on the left was added later, most likely to spare it from destruction. Like I said, in each gable we have one of the four evangelists. Now we're moving towards the south. The south facade is also very ornate. The bell tower was added later. David and Goliath is there. Goliath is 9 feet 11. We got the griffin, the bear's hairs. And then we have the cousins of the king, who were martyred because they would not change their religion. And they kept Christianity as their religion, and they were massacred. Luke is on the southern facade. And it's difficult because of the bell tower that they had erected in the 19th century. So on this facade we see Mary with Jesus. Jesus is enthroned. And also the 12 figures. In my opinion, these 12 figures are the apostles. And I think the gentleman who's in the middle right there with two angry faces, they are looking at Judas, in my opinion. So this is Abraham trying to give his son as a gift to God, but at the last minute, God's hand is pointed and tells him to cut the sheep or the ram. Again, Mary with Jesus is on the left side, and then the two angels are on each corner. Again, daily scenes with the winemaking on top, to fighting. Look how high the first level of bas-reliefs have started. It's really high. And in order to capture those images, I have to use long lenses. And the gentleman you see on the far left is afraid, because if the bear is not killed, that he's next. And then we have the story of Jonah. Gregorian wrote an article about it. And that's the king of Nineveh. This is Moses receiving the 10 Commandments on the south facade. He's not allowed to touch with his bare hands, so that's why he has the cloth. And this is a manuscript I photographed in Venice, in Vienna actually, at the Mechitaris. It's a 1600, it was done in 1600, and you have the 10 Commandments in Armenian. Now we move to the west facade. The west facade is actually on top of the Gagik, the narthex, which was added later. And we had to convince these two gentlemen who are the guards so that Lilith can climb and take pictures of the west facade. But when she climbed, I said, can I also climb? And they agreed, because I was supposed to take the picture, but we used Lilith in order to get access to the top. I mean, you cannot get access to the Gagik. So we had to go early in March in order to convince them, because she cannot illustrate them if it's not straight. So that was very important achievement in order to get correctly. See here, we have the broken cross, and that's Jesus on the right, and the king is on the left, presenting the model of the church. We got the angels, hands tucked in and hands out. Yesem Luisa Ashari, I'm the light. And I'm comparing them with manuscript as well. Look at how interesting the design is. On top of the window, the feet are tucked in order to keep the circular shape of the window. And then we see female faces as well, female portraits. Okay, that's the king. And the model of the church represents as is. So the church dome was circular. It wasn't pointed in the 10th century. That's why we see it circular. And it was turned into a pointed one later on. This is a floor plan of Aghtamar done by Walter Bachmann. And he had only one window drawn on the plan. And the Italians of OME, they had two windows. They tried to fix it. And then I noticed that there's three windows. So for the first time, you have the correction. See? Now you have the three windows, 1, 2, and 3. So even the German had missed those three windows. And then you will see the details of the colors of where that picture was taken. So it's very easy to look at the plan and to look at where this picture is taken. So it's very meticulously done. It's very easy to see where everything is located. Here also we have the star. So they used to put whatever had to go with liturgy or Mass on Sundays. See, that's the point. What's really interesting also, the bell tower was added later, and Sirapi Nesessian in her books, she said it's 19th century. But since I was born in Lebanon and Arabic was official language, and we had learned the numbers as well. So it's 1243 in Arabic, Hijri, which gives it 1827 Gregorian. So we have the exact date, and it was always in front of us. We couldn't see it. The photographer in 1910, Yervant Lalayan, when he went and photographed the picture that you see on the left, there was an inscription. Since he knew that he could not get the inscription clearly on the photograph, on the plate, what he did in his memoirs, in his notes, he wrote exactly what was on that plate. Fortunately, because of him, it doesn't exist anymore, and I had to get from his memoirs what was written on that white slab, which is missing. This is what I'm using in order to capture the first level of bas-reliefs. I bought a window cleaning boom from Van, and I added my monopod and the camera on top, and with the remote control I was able to get the shot. And in order to get inside this image, which is this one, and for the first time we can see what happened and what kind of animals we have. And the guards attacked me and they said, "You're not allowed to do it." I just gave him the boom. I said, "It's done, you can have it." So Surp Stepanos in 1293 was built, and it's about 30 feet away from Surp Khatch, Holy Cross. This is before renovation and this is after renovation. And you have the dates 2002 and 2019. So not only in the summertime I'm visiting Aghtamar, also in the wintertime. This is the Kavit, the narthex, which was added in 1763. This is where we climbed. See, this is where we climbed, and it was really an achievement. The cauldron was photographed by, let me see, I don't have it here. Oh, here it is, Yervant Lalayan. In 1910, he photographed the cauldron. So during the genocide, I was sure that the first thing that they would take it to Armenia is one of these relics. And I have about 1 million photographs in my archives. So I went into all the archives, and I was trying to find if I had photographed it in Lebanon, in Venice, or somewhere else. At the end, I found out that I had photographed it because I love to photograph almost everything. I had photographed it at Eshmiadzin. So not only the front, but also the back. And you have all the inscriptions. This is the inside of the narthex before renovations and after renovations. This is the first mass in 2010. Of course, they had to have water, so there is a cistern not far from this church itself. And then the story continues. The Old Testament and the New Testament continues with frescoes. Unfortunately, the frescoes were damaged during so many years because it was open. It was not well taken care of, let's put it. So I had to find similar images from manuscripts in order to make parallels with what you see. Some of them were very, very difficult. These are some of the archival shots that I have photographed at the ARF in Watertown. And here you see the balcony where the king used to sit. That's the Nativity. Here is the second coming of Christ. Presenting Jesus to the temple, in the temple. The flight, this is Joseph. He's in his dream. The angel comes and tells him, pick up your family and fly to Egypt. This is the killing of the kids. Entry into Jerusalem, and some of the miracles that Jesus made. ascension. And also, you will see where it was taken. You have the exact location of each image. We are not allowed to use tripods inside the church, but I was able to use my tripod every time the guard would come in, would check, would go out. I would open my tripod, take pictures, and throughout the years I completed all these images. Crucifixion. I'm sure those who went to Aghtamar, to visit Aghtamar, you didn't see all these details. Because some of them are really washed out. This is harrowing of hell. Jesus is going to save Adam and Eve from hell. The wedding. And then the creation of Eve from the side of Adam. This is a reconstruction by Gagik I, my friend. Because it's called Surp Khatch, Holy Cross, and on the original here we had only one piece of the angel and a part of the cross. But outside I had noticed that there was a khachkar with the exact same detail of this cross. So he merged those two together and he made a copy. That way it's what we think the original of Surp Khatch with the two angels holding the cross. Before and after the genocide. The first mass was in 2010, I was present, but they had the cross on the bottom. It wasn't already installed. So 1 month later I went back because they installed it, and now it's permanently present. In 2023, again, another mass. Every year, once a year, they are allowed to have mass at Surp Khatch. And what's interesting is missing rock, a piece of animal, which is back in its place, and it's a fox. And the rabbits were happy that he came back. So he wasn't afraid, he was looking back to... See, that's one of the khachkar that I was talking about, the cross. There are many, many khachkars on Aghtamar itself. Most of them were turned, now they are erecting them. And this shot was taken at 5 a.m. I had to hire a boat, which was illegal to have a boat on before sunrise. Aha, we have the relic of Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Now you're going to tell me what happened with Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Serpazan takes the relic from Echmiadzin. He flies to, he takes it to Persia, and he wants to ask the Shah to become the next Vehalpar, the Catholicos. But he was unlucky because the Shah died. But who finds out about the relic? The Catholicos of Aghtamar. So what he does is he goes to Persia, picks up the relic of Saint Gregory. Without this relic, you cannot ordain a new Catholicos. So he became the Catholicos of Aghtamar and Echmiadzin. But he lasted only 1 year at Echmiadzin. They tried to kill him. So he flies back to Aghtamar, taking with him the relic. So Echmiadzin could not have another Catholicos because the relic was in Aghtamar. For 7 years, they used the relic to bless a new king, to bless a new Catholicos, and it's like taking a picture. These are from manuscripts. One of the priests goes to Aghtamar and serves 7 years. He picks up the relic and takes it back to Echmiadzin. Now we have Vehalpars at Echmiadzin again. Here we go, the relic. You see, the blue is the relic. The vestment of the kings are adorned with birds. And you have heard about this map, which is in Bologna. And what's really interesting is in the middle you have Lake Van and the four islands, Aghtamar, Gagik, Slim, and Arder. So I picked up the pieces and I also included those churches with their plans and archival photos from the ARF in Watertown, Massachusetts. That's the monastery of Lim and the clergy. For 782 years we had a Catholicosate in Aghtamar. Actually, there were three Catholicos at that point: Cilicia, Aghtamar, and Eşmiadin. Panos Telemesian was born in Vaspuragan, and he was a Vanetsi, and he was an artist. And in 1914 and 1915, he went back to Aghtamar and did these sketches. And these sketches are at Madenataran, so I had to get special permission in order to get this photographed as well. See, the horse doesn't have a head anymore. In his memoirs, Panos Telemesian says, when he paid a visit in 1914, the priest told him the manuscripts were piled up with dust on them, and also he noticed that some of the parchments would cut off. He said, what happened? They had cut them off and stick them on the pages of the students. So a lot of manuscripts, if you see that they cut, those were done by the priests themselves. And those were also his drawings. See, that's the balcony where the king used to sit above the altar. So the king had an issue, you know, he's taller than Jesus on the western facade. And these are the three photographers. See, we have a complete image of the cross. That's how Edith was able to complete the illustrations. Ashkarabek Kalantar photos. Lalayan's. This is my shot taken from the same side. And when I paid a visit to the Museum of Van, I noticed that they had a door from Aghtamar. And I went back to History Museum in order to photograph the original plate. These are taken in 2006. And I went to Michigan in order to photograph this artwork by Minas Avedisian. It's held at the Alex Marimanukian Museum. And you will see the angel and Mary with the child taken from Aghtamar, and he has the refugees in front. So he was inspired by Aghtamar for his painting. This is very interesting. This is the story of the bells on Armenian manuscripts that were created in Van, which is very unique because they have bells. You see the bells? No other manuscripts outside Vaspuragan has bells. They're regular ships without the bells. Why bells? Because when they were doing trade from Van to Tatvan by camels, the Kurds would attack the caravans. So Armenians were smart enough to start using ship. But in order to use this ship, they had to wait for the wind to blow. And it took 10 hours from Van to Tatvan by ship. So usually it's at night as well. So how would they know which direction they're going? With the bells. So whenever they heard a bell from the left or from the right, they knew which direction they were going and they would adjust it accordingly. And it was written by Armenian Khatcherian from Fresno. He did all the research. He couldn't be with us today. No. So that's Hawk's Eye view of Aghtamar. The Kurds, the Turks are the main tourists, by the way. And this is something that I'm also very proud of, is I took all the measurements. Nobody had done so far taking measurements. And every time I was taking measurements with the laser and the tape measure, the guards would come and ask me, what are you doing? I would say, I love this church and I'm really interested to see how tall it is. And they would let me work without impeding the work. And then Seto, who's an architect from Toronto, he did the professional way so that you can have the exact details. And it's 20 meters high. If you go in the center of the church itself and you look up, it's 20 meters. 20 meters is about 70 feet, approximately. Some of the natural scenes and also where they got their inspiration from. So that's Mr. Bastian, who took me to Aghtamar for the first time. Zaben Sarkisian from the Museum of Parajan, that we traveled a lot to Aghtamar, and sometimes he would complain, he would say, haven't we had enough of Aghtamar? I would say, Zaben, we're so close, come on, let's go again. And we would go again. So that's how we managed to get 34 trips, actually 35 after publishing this book. And that's Lily working. She's a photographer, she helps me with the equipment, with the lighting, and we've been through a lot of things. We've been arrested in Cilicia, so that's another story when we published a book about Cilicia. And thanks to the Basremajian Foundation, we were able to publish this book. But imagine 34 trips, how much I have put financially from my own pocket. And thank you for everyone. Sergio Laporta, he didn't make it, I guess. Thank you, Barlo, for having me. If you have any questions.